a country, his determination or his judgment will influence the matter of the entire country, and perhaps the world. And those people, the kind of people, are the ones who persevere to almost to no end, and also he thinks so deeply, keep on thinking before he acts.
그것이 얼마나 필요해. 얼마나 필요하다는 걸 우리 일상생활에서 너무나 잘 본다는 거예요.
So this is not only a difficult or philosophical thing. This is almost a daily thing. We see all the time. It's very easy for us to understand how important it is to persevere, to tolerate. We want to have an urge to say something, but we don't say it because it's not wise to do so. It may feel you good for the time being, but it certainly is not wise for the long run, so you don't speak.
영롱스러운 사람은 승리자는 된다. 승리할 수 있는 그 때가 있지만은.
The brave person can be a victorious person, can win a victory at a certain battle or a certain combat. Yes, he can.
만약에 참는 사람은 졌지만은 또 기회가 얼마든지 있는 것이다.
But the man who perseveres, he may be beaten, he may lose, in fact, but he has a second chance and third chance.
몇 번.
And the fourth chance. His chance of winning fighting and winning the next war is almost unlimited.
그렇지만 암만 영명하다 하더라도 네 번이
But no bravest man can win the battle all the time without losing. He's bound to lose. Do you understand?
우리가 볼 때 영명을 원하겠냐 참명을 원하겠냐 이런 결론을.
Then you can even think to yourself, then which would I want if I really become serious? Would I be the brave and the winner? Or would I just tolerate, and even though I may not win, in fact I may lose, then I will have the endless opportunity to make the final battle victorious one. Then which one would you rather choose? Second one.
이렇게 말들을 세거하죠. 아니 그런 말 참명을 원하는 이런 모든 걸 생각하지 않고 대번으로 그 참명의 영명을 다 원한다.
But after only Father's elaboration this morning, you come to inevitable conclusion. Well, I'd rather choose the second one. That means the one who tolerates, although I don't have to win at the time. But in ordinary times, the 10 out of 10 people are inclined to be the winner, instant winner, and the one who is a brave one, and he will never settle down with the idea of the tolerating man.
이것이 원칙이라고 하는 것은 생 가정에서도 적응되는 거예요, 사회에서 적응되는 거예요, 세계에서 적응되는 거예요, 하나님 복수 선명에서 적응되는 것은 말.
But if this one thing Father is talking now is a matter of principle, that is, to tolerate is the best policy, then this not only applies to individual matters, but also this would apply to the country, the level, and also the world level. This works just as good as the individual level. So, daily decision, daily choice of yours, as a matter of daily choice, what kind of a husband would you rather choose? Would you rather choose a brave husband which show off all he has immediately, or the one who tolerates and never show if he has anything inside? Which one would you rather prefer if you are given a choice of your husband, of your future husband? Well, Father realizes it's very difficult for Western sisters, Western women, to somehow say verbally, "It's second I want."
얼마나 그 다르냐.
This is so strikingly different from Western, Eastern way of concept of love than Western. Here in the West, here's one woman and the two men fight each other, and this woman just to watch out what it will result, and duel. Immediately they start fighting. You know, they don't think, or they just go ahead and they shoot each other. You know, at most a week or so, they give appointed time and they shoot, and one kills the other, and then one is victorious. That woman just tags along, follows him, and they go together. And when
그런 노력하는 영국이라든가 불란서 같은 기사도 사용하는 그런 나라가 무서운 것이 아니라 그렇지 않은 나라가 무서운 나라가 있다는 얘기입니다.
we call that chivalry, and you know, the chivalry is rather respected, and in fact that was everything that the Western world had. So, like France and like the Great Britain, like England, and those are very traditional. Of course, that's fearful. That is something to be feared. In other words, that has such a tremendous power inside. But what we have to fear more is the nation which does not express the keen sense of chivalry in that way. Then what is that country which does not express his the enthusiasm, not in the form of duel, not so clearly outside? Which is that country now? Have you ever thought? Well, here France and here in England, we do that. You can immediately think that Chinese. The Chinese will never duel, you know. No, it's not conceivable to two Chinese who fight each other for life. And so the China, at the end of the days, at the long end of history, this is a country in question rather than any other country which expresses himself so readily.
중국 사람 생각은 자기 나라에 들어와가지고 전능하지만은 우리는 이제 힘을 다 있습니다.
The way of Chinese thinking is this: some race may occupy their own country, the China itself, their own country, but they are confident. They are rather confident. Someday we are the one who eat them up, not they who eat us up. It's rather consistent too. If you get to know Chinese rather well, let's say if you go, the Japanese came into the country. You know how the Japanese are. They're just like a very active, like the jumping fish. The freshly caught. They just make all kind of keen motion, but Chinese never worry about them. They said, well, you can do that few hours, you see, and they're going to live more than a few hours, years and years. They think that way. And if you go to a Chinese restaurant, it's the service is very slow, insensitive, and the Chinaware is has all lacking teeth, and the tablecloth not so tidy. They're using that for time and time again. But there's one consistent flow of tolerance and self-confidence. You can immediately tell the Chinese, and that you can't dismiss it very lightly. You can't laugh it off so lightly. This is the whole point. When Father takes seat in that Chinese, then Father really can feel that, and this is something to be considered and feared rather than to be dismissed and laughed at. When Father becomes in that situation, then Father feels, well, one thing I have to do, one thing we have to do, we have to outdo the Chinese, out-tolerate the Chinese. This is really the serious feeling we get.
요즘에 이 흑인들 말이야, 흑인들. 흑인 사회가 지금까지 백인 사회에서는 지금까지 저개발 지역으로 지금 순환을 당하고 고통을 받고 왔지만 말이야. 그들이 참긴 했다가 좀 숙골을 했다.
Let's take, for example, this time the black people, the black countries, African countries. So far, the African countries and the white countries, white civilization, the African people suffered and they tolerated. They did lots of tolerations. They persevered a long time, but they not necessarily contemplated. They tolerated, but they did not think.
생각하면 연관 모두 발전합니다.
If you think deeply, then you become to research, and when you come to research, then you develop yourself. Then you find the solution. So if somebody opposes you, or somebody oppresses you, some country, the world oppressed your country, then that oppressed country keep on thinking. If you think deep enough, then he develops a measure to counter it.
그래가지고 용맹스럽게 안갈 말고 용맹스럽게 이랬습니다.
Then later, one time, when they stand up rather bravely and rather effectively.
그렇게 고통이 심하면 심할수록 깊이 생각하는 사람은 가서 말만 건드리기만 해도 다 하나. 전부 다 같으니까.
So when the two of those kind meet each other, they would immediately know what they are like, and that they really become one. The only thing you have to do is you just touch your finger, and then immediately he will understand the thousands of things without his expression, because they have a common preparation and heritage. And once these two become a very formidable ally, the contemplating one this time, and tolerating ones.
그런 관점에서 우리가 세계를 바라볼 때 금우의 문제되는 나라가 어디예요?
So in this view, when we look the history from now on, not the past, but from now on more, the future, the history of the future, then the first thing that comes in our mind is the country of China. The Chinese are worthy of considering and thinking more. You know, that's the country which built the Great Wall of thousands of miles. The Great Wall, they built that.
애국 같은 나라가 뭐 전부 다 무슨 그 안에 수준이라고 해야지 그게 했지만 그다
Of course, the Egypt built the Great Pyramid. Even now, the people can't figure out how they did it thousands and thousands of years ago. Even now, it's very difficult to build it, but they did it long time ago. But Egypt, they flow away. They leave no visible trace behind. Like anybody can think about readily. Father thinks about what would happen if China fought Russia, or the China and Russia fought each other. These two countries fought each other. The father can easily imagine. Well, immediate victory, Russia, no doubt, will score. But father rather feels that the war will go on hundreds of years, not only a few years and then get it over with. The war will go on for hundreds of years even. And that's the characteristics of the race compared to that of the West. The Western people just cannot think about it, cannot even imagine that. You know, another thing of the Chinese is wherever they go, they wear their own the attire, their own clothing, own dress. Then what kind of a race should we consider, should we look for?
순환받으면서 나오는 것이 유대인들.
And the one who has tolerated more, suffered and tolerated suffering the most of all, is perhaps a Jewish nation, we can think. And now this Jewish nation is at question now. In England, it's the same way. The Jewish component of Jewish in England and in America, very much the issue is keener as the Jewish in America.
요즘에 역사적으로 보면 이제 한국이 또 문제가 있어요. 한국이 어떻게 역사를 중심 삼아가지고 국가를 잃어버리지 않고 진행해 나오는 한국이.
In that In that sense, Korea comes also, because it has a much in common with the Jewish nation, is that for 5,000 years, this is not just a make-believe, but historically, written history, for 5,000 years, the Korea had gone through the impossible suffering and the impossible peril, the threat from all nations, other nations, occupied and the war all the time and the aggression all the time. But without losing country, it has kept himself intact in last 5,000 incredible years of constant threat. And we can imagine, we can even deduce how much thinking they must have done to make that country survive until this point.
이렇게 볼 때 종교를 갖지 않는 나라로서의 종교를 갖지 않는 나라로서 보게 되면은 한국하고 중국의 것.
So the country which has no religion, and then this deep thing, we can only imagine the Korea and the China. Korea and China are the only two conceivable nations we can think.
물론 종교를 통해서 변해 나왔지만 그렇지만 유대 나라는 유대교라는 것이 나오고 딱 정통을 이어 나와.
That means Korea, of course, had a religion, but not one consistent religion from A to Z. That means nor China. They've gone to extensively to the Buddhism one time or the Christian the other times, but they were religious basically, but Father doesn't mean that. Something really religious from outside and inside. This case is Jewish nation. Jewish nation on the basis of Jewish religion, very consistent. They have been keeping its religion in that country in that circumstances.
그런 관점에서 보면 종교 믿지 않는 나라에서 그런 성격이 있는 그 나라는 반드시 후대에 남아진다 하는 관이 끝나는 것입니다. 또 종교 가운데도 그와 같은 관념을 가지고 더 참고 더 숙고하는 사람은 남아진다.
So you can conclude that even the non-religious country, the one who tolerates and the one who perseveres will be the longest lasting. The chance of lasting the longer than others. That means the final victory too, the chance of victory more so there. And also, as well as in a religious nation, such as a formal religion, like a Jewish nation, such a nation will outlast than other nations. We can conclude. And not only that, that component of race is just one single race. The component of that country, like China, Korea, or Jewish nation, they must be just one race nation. Not many race mixed up together to make that country, but rather one race. Here in Europe, it's like a brother country more, isn't it? Brother countries. They're readily mixed, and they have been mixed in the past. You cannot really distinguish from one race to the another, not very distinctly. So that kind of country they're kind of ready to mix with in the brotherly sisterly relations rather readily. They are the ones who to expand fast. They expand fast in horizontally. You can go anywhere immediately. You win friends there, and you win success, and you expand yourself. And they are readily to be mixed even onto the marriage. And the marriage is the utmost form of mixture. You know that, mixing with the other race and other people. It just become one.
그런 것에서 보면 중국이나 중국 국민들이 한국 그런 문제는 제일 힘든 나라가 한국이에요.
And the country who perhaps has the most stubborn and the most consistent idea about not mixing so readily is China, and even beyond China, even more so than China, is Korea. The Korea is a country with the most conservative feeling about the marriage. And then, as you already know, Jewish never want to. But the Jewish always consists one condition. Even though the pagans come, the outside the religion come, they will never marry until they assimilate your religion. But as simple as it goes through the ritual of circumcision on a male, then they accept them as one of them, and they marry freely.
이렇게 볼 때 하나님은 종교를 통해서 하나님의 성령을 정해놓는데 하나님은 뭘 가르치든 참으라 참고 용서하라 용서하고 그걸 그 말이라고 어린하고 겸손해라 그 말이 뭐냐면 참고 견디라는 말이야.
So when we look back to the whole history of man and God, of course, then we come to know that the history has been the history of religion, and through this religion, God has taught the mankind to be humble and forgiving. That means, in other words, it's the same as saying persevere. To be humble, that means persevere. And forgiving, that means then you think it over before you do something rather hastily. So the humble and forgiving is the same as this the long sought concept.
기독교가 하나님의 뜻을 받들면 사랑하라 거기서 뭐 미워할 거 사랑하라 그것이 사랑하라 한 거로 봤었다니까.
And this Christianity, what is Christianity special for? Actually, the Christian is same in every other religion except this one point of loving. Actually, the loving is the most advanced, one step more advanced than any other religion we have ever seen on history. Loving. Not only forgiving, but loving. That's one step ahead of all the concept and spirit of religions.
그렇기 때문에 하나님은 기독교를 중심 삼고 세계적인 이런 선례를 진행시킬 수 있다 하는 것을 우리가 찾을 수 이런 관점을 찾을 수 있다.
So we can understand God in this respect, that this is how God was able to promote Christianity and encourage the people to persevere and to contemplate, and God has been able to continue on to dispensation until this moment, which has been extremely difficult, as you already agreed to.
하나님 자신이 사탄년도 전부 다 답을 빼앗기는 원수를 사랑할 수 있는 관념을 가지고는 독선 실패, 완성을.
You see, God lost his own loving sons and daughters to Satan, which is an enemy. And if God lacked the idea of forgiving the enemy and loving, then recovering all that lost son, or in other words, restoration history would never have been possible if God did not have that spirit of forgiving and loving.
그렇잖아?
Isn't that right?
원수를 사랑하는 것에 얼마나 참여되고 얼마나 생각을 많이 하고 하는 거야. 그런 해보라고 그렇게 한다고 그래요.
We say a lot of things, and we contemplate a lot of things where we have to think one thing. rather deeply is that how difficult it is to tolerate against the enemy, and especially enemy taking your own precious thing, and you have to persevere in love. How much perseverance, tolerance it takes on your part, and yet you have to love them.
너를 생각해, 너를 원수 있다고 생각해보라.
Then imagine, you may not have the potent enemy now, but you just imagine right this minute you have an enemy, and when you have that enemy, how difficult it is to put up with them. Not only that, if he does something awfully bad to you, you must love him. How difficult.
원수가 제일 사랑하는 원수는 딸때리다가 제일 사랑하는 제일 자기 나라 누구라도 가까운 어떤 나라 미인보다 자기 나라의 미인보다도 더 사랑해야 된다. 그게 복귀성이야.
So you hate so much enemy that at the first sight you want to kill them. There's no question about that. That urge in you, because that's enemy. If you have that enemy, but you have to take that the daughter of that enemy and bring it into your household. Not only that, you not only have to put up with them, but also you have to love them more than your own son.
아내를 삼아가지고 누구나 더 사랑하는 어떤 나라 사람도 더 사랑하는 그런 아내면 돼야 된다. 그래야 복귀성에 한계에서 넘어간다.
And you have to take that enemy, the daughter of your enemy, and then you have to bring your household and make your wife, and then not only not just to hate your wife, but you simply have to love them more than anybody else in the world. And this is the restoration history, dispensation, and you must do that.
그래야 완성이 완성.
And this is a perfection. When you do that, then you perfect yourself. Then how? Can you imagine what Father is trying to explain you? God would never be able to complete his dispensation of restoration without thinking these. God thinks them all over again and thinks for millions or billions of times, then he has to come to one conclusion. Well, I had better do that, otherwise the restoration history will never come to perfection.
그 외에는 길이 없다. 그 외에는 길이, 그 외의 길이들 하나님도 그게 있어. 이게 이게 쉬운 길이야.
God has thought about this for thousands and thousands of times, and if there were any better way for God to accomplish his will, accomplish his restoration, he would certainly have taken that. He certainly would take that. But as it is, he thinks and thinks, and this is a conclusion he inevitably has come to.
그 무슨 생각이 안 하나? 무슨 생각?
Imagine the livelong day and
무슨 생각이 안 나?
day and night, this contemplation. Contemplation, that means think and think over and over again, and then continue on thinking, even beyond that, and on thinking with all to no end. Contemplation. What is there? Just God did not think one time or another. What is there that God left out thinking? There's no such a thing. God has left out thinking. He thought everything over and over again for millions of times and thousands of years. There's nothing God did not think. God did not contemplate.
이렇게 볼 때 어느 날 종교를 중생고 볼 때 일반 국가보다도 종교단체, 종교는 참고 남을 위하는 일은 있잖아요. 용서하고 반영하고 참고 생각을 많이 하면서 나옵니다. 생각을 많이 해야 된다는 얘기.
So, religion actually has thought, did more thinking than any other field of study, if you say, or any other way of life. Religion is the one who thought and thought, who did most thinking. And he not only thought, but forgave, and forgave, not only forgave, but tried their best to love. And this is a religion.
개인에서부터 국가, 세계를 두고 하나를 땅을 두고 살 것이다. 평행하는 깊이 참는 거예요.
Not only in one given way, but in many different ways, in many different possibilities. Individual way, the group way, the country way, in all different aspects, religion has done thinking.
그래서
Do you understand?
깊이 참고 깊이 생각하는 그런 종교가 세계를 지배할 것이다. 이런 결론이 나온 겁니다. 왜? 하나님이 그렇기 때문에. 하나님 만든 종교를 통해가지고 그런 인하만큼 하나님이 그러한 그러한 종교일수록 세계를 지배하고 하나님의 섭리를 받을 수 있을 것이다.
And if there are many major religions, a number of major religions, then the criteria will be rather simple. We pick out one religion who thinks and thinks, who has the deepest thinking. That religion will be the main religion later to sort of rule the world. That means to influence the entire world according to that thought of that religion. Now, the reason is rather simple. Because God is that way. God himself has been thinking that way. So when he chooses some group to fulfill his dispensation, he would certainly choose that denomination or that religion, that major religion, to do his work.
자, 그거 같아?
Now, do you agree to that?
자, 그런 종교거든. 그런 종교거든.
Then we look around the world. What religion falls into that category, to that description? Which religion is that way?
기독교?
Christianity?
기독교가 세상을 이기고 참 넘어서 생각할 수 있는 생각해야죠. 세상을 버리고 생각.
Is Christianity now persevering with everything and accepting, loving everything? Rather than that, he has built a wall around him. Well, I don't care so much about others. We want ourselves to be saved and the heaven go to heaven.
세계를 버리고 지금 생각.
Today, now, the Christianity is forsaking the world. He's giving up the world. And they are right up to here to think about their own self.
세계를 소화하려고 하는 기독교가 못한다고.
They don't try so much as trying to digest other people's problem or the other part of the country's problem. But rather, they want to isolate themselves from the troubled world and pursue the heaven rather independently. This is what they are doing
자,
now.
그러면 하나님이 전부 다 이 세계 정리되었나? 하나님은 그렇지 않다.
Then what about God? Is God isolated from the misery and isolated from that part of the people? Well, that part of the people, I don't care. I am only concerned about this much people, and this is what I care. God think that way? God is
또 세계를 버리지 말고.
attached to everywhere.
우리 중심장과 세계를 생각한다.
And the Muslim is the same way. You know, Muslim may be the second major religion in the world. And today, they are pretty much the same. They cherish their own race and their own country and the color of the skin, but not to the end of the world. They don't care so much of the other races and other countries rather than their own. So they are rather hermit and isolated too.
불교 역시 마찬가지. 불교 마찬가지다.
Buddhism is the same way. Buddhism never think about encompassing Christian religion, no. They don't know how and they don't care.
사회 나가 활동하는 것을 지금까지 안 해봤다.
They don't go out to the society and try to actively solve the problem, the living in the secular world. They don't do that. They just
그러면서
isolate themselves in temple.
참고 반영하면서 숙고하면서 세계를 위해서 살아갔다고 그럴 수 있는 정.
Then this religion,
그럴 수 있는 정도가 있다면 하나님 필시 그런 정도를
then this religion we are looking for is the one religion who has all this thinking, all these elements there, and yet never isolate themselves from the most of the miserable, cruel part of the world. Even then, they are eager to go into and try to make them the part of their own life and problem. And eventually, they are determined to bring this to the other side, which is the God side. And if there's one religion who has all these elements there, and then persevering and persevering again when they are persecuted by other religion, never give up and never hate either, and go on and on,
그러면서 소화나.
then gradually digest and make the elements into themselves,
세 원수까지.
and even to digest the enemy, even to forgive enemy and become friends with them, and later love them and teach that love, and sort of digesting them, even the enemy, and then determined to bring everything to God, then it must be that religion.
그런 종교 어디 있어?
Then where can you find religion of that description or category today?
우리 토요일절로 들어 토요일.
What about Unification Church?
토요일절 말하면 그거라. 바로 그거라. 그걸 목표라고 들어가네요.
In fact, what somebody asked, what is Unification Church? Then this would be the answer. This is exactly the goal Unification Church is headed to.
여러분이 서양세에 나타나가지고 가서 서양세계에 반대하고 믿지만 내가 소화당하려고 하나 소화하려고 하나.
Well, Reverend Moon, all by himself from the Orient, came to this the turbulence and turmoil of the Western world, and persecuted to the impossible degree. But he, being the most sensitive man, but is he going to be influenced by the Western people because the numbers are so absolutely many, or is he single-handed trying? And he is digesting everything in the world. Which way is he doing now?
그러니까 쉽겠어 어렵겠어?
Do you think it is as easy as we say digest, or it is impossible to say even? Because it's so difficult.
내가 잠깐 다 끝났다 이제. 다 끝났다.
If Father is not any better than other people, then there will be an immediate crash, immediate struggle, and either one win the other. The war would have ended right there. If he had no perseverance, then he would disagree with everybody readily. But you can't do that. Even though you are absolutely right and you are even on the only God side, if it crashes and if it consumes, then there's nothing to fight against by anymore. So only choice Father has to think again, tolerate once more. And that feeling of revenge and the feeling of anger is impossible, absolutely impossible to persevere, tolerate. But you simply have to do that.
그래서
Do you understand?
너 생각하던 너들이 생각하는 선생님 말 들으면
You are not so thinking, so you just listen, but this time rather carefully. Then Father is the one who is thinking, so he explains you what thinking is about. Then the listening people, not so much thinking but listening people, can really understand, oh, you are true, you are right. Then you try to bring yourself up to that thinking level also. Isn't that what you're doing? So if there is more persecution, that gives you more chance to think about. So after all, persecution is never bad. Certainly not all bad, never, because it provides you with the indispensable ingredients.
영국을 것이 미국 서구 사회는 공산세계까지 소화하고 사탄 지역까지 소화하다고 지역까지. 지역까지 소화하다고 그걸 저쪽까지 그렇게 행동을 하게 되면 공산당의 자연히 소화되는 거라.
And we are not only trying to tolerate or digest England when there is an opposition, or the Europe, but not only that, but the communist world, and that's not the end of it. If the communist opposes us and try to persecute us, or try to even fight a war against us, we will put up with it. Not only that, we will eventually digest them. But not only that, our goal does not stop there. Even to the hell in the spirit world, we are quite ready to go and occupy, and then love there, and then bring it back here. So when we have that goal there, then communist is only intermediate range.
그 생각은 하나님이 아직까지 참지 못하고 하나님하고 생각하지 못하는 이상까지 생각하자.
This is actually what we are. Then we have to think ourselves that then we had better do lots of persevering and lots of thinking to the degree that even beyond God, even beyond the God's degree of thinking, we have to think and think again.
너들 매일같이 축사방 매일같이 참기 어려. 그러면 저렇게 저들은 매일같이 참기 어려운 길을 가라.
So, if the Unification Church members are going intolerable path now, then the conclusion is so much the sounder. Then our credo, our Father's instruction is,
그러면 하나님이 마음을 줬다. 하나님이 되려면 교회에 관심 가질 곳이 없다는 결론 나와.
Then Father will say, that's the way the Unification Church go, so you must tolerate more and more. You're on the right path, so never think it is unusual. Just go right ahead. You're on the right track. Well, then when this happens, while this happens, God will, look down from heaven down to you with the binoculars, with the glasses, looking glasses, and to see how the Unification Church members are doing. And he is doing exactly what God has been doing in the past, and what God has been expecting the worthwhile people to do. Then he's happy. What happens if God sees a binocular and look at you? Then the millions, billions of spirit men there, what is God looking at? Then they look all the same. Billions of spirit men will look at the same object of God's observation, which is Unification Church.
그렇죠. 하나님과 영계가 전부 다니 이 지상은 영계의 반을 빌린 데와 마찬가지로 세상도 관심 없어. 내 초인교회 이 천주 안에서 관심이 갖고 있는 얘기 이게.
Then what happens? Since this world is only the shadow of the real entity up in the spirit world, whatever happens in the spirit world, it's just like the entity and the shadow. Whenever they go, the shadow moves. Likewise, when they are concerned, every man on earth is also concerned. This is what you see every day. They persecute you, but they are never indifferent to you. They always are watchful to you. Why if they oppose you, why they just go away someplace? It's a strange thing if you think it that way. Those one who opposes you, if you oppose, then they go away and mind their own business because they should have a better thing to do. But it's not that. The people who oppose you, they watch. They oppose you and then they watch over you. What does he do next? And his mind is not someplace else. His mind right at you. And then he pokes you again. He opposes you again. And then he watches again. What does he do next? This is a tremendous, once you know this fact, that means he is tagging along to you and watching over how you make out. And if you observe carefully the history of opposition, years ago they opposed from high place, they oppose you, they persecute you. But they come lower and lower, and now they oppose you like that. And then already that stage has gone by. They're down here, they oppose you. And later, it's very difficult to oppose that way. And they are doing that difficult opposition now. They have no reason to oppose, but they have to oppose, so they oppose like that. That means when they oppose like that, that pushes Unification Church higher. In fact, this is what's taking place.
하고 무슨 일이니까 그러다는 거예요.
You can really clearly see this through the short years of history in America. America just did that, He just dispensed it. One laughter. One individual, what can he do? He doesn't know America. He said that. But as things went by, it's something different that they have ever imagined. And so they come down in the posture and then do that. And now this really.
그래 영국의 아래라는 걸 보이거든요. 아야나고 나이들이 그렇게 말했다.
And especially and after they saw the development in England, what they saw, how the English people responded to Unification Church and its idea, and Father, in one word, and they are got the clubbed, with an invisible club. They got beaten once. Oh, we never expected that way, you see. American people, insensitive people. That's one thing.
미국 사람이 얼마나 생각하는 사람이지. 레버런드는 쫓아내면 그것도 미국 촌놈들 막 천만에 생각하는 사람이라고. 지금 뭐 내가 여기 있더라도 뉴욕 타임즈 뭐 하루 이틀 뭐 매일 같이 없는 마찬가지라고. 그걸 모르고 있다고 그게. 얼마나 생각지 않은 사람에게.
American people, if there's anything that they hate, thinking is what they hate. They never say, they'd much rather on the go, they'd rather do this than thinking. And, they thought, well, the Reverend Moon, one is 1,000. So if we chase him out of the country, and Unification Church